Hey, y'all, welcome back to the Late Night Vision Show. This is episode number 180. My name is Jason, owner of Outdoor Legacy. And as always, I've got my partner in crime, Mr. Hans from the Hans East Texas YouTube channel. What's going on tonight, buddy?
Man, it is a good day to be alive in the night vision and thermal world. We've got a really good review to share with y'all today on episode 180. We are only 20 episodes away, 20 weeks away from our 200th show. It just seems like we were taping the 100th show not that long ago, but we've got a great review, and I'm really, there's a lot of people that have been asking about this scope we're going to be talking about here. I'll let you introduce the scope here in a little bit, but it is a very notable scope for many reasons, but a lot of it has to do with price point and where it's at and the quality of the image. So I'll let you introduce it and we'll jump into it. People make better sense of what we're talking about here.
Yeah. And I want to go ahead and give the pre-warning that if Hans and I, to some extent, sound like we're recording this while we're holding our nose, it's because we've both been fighting some kind of sinus allergy junk. I don't think either of us are down with the COVID, but we're both just been fighting sore throats and
both of us were on mowers. Both of us have been on mowers and tractors lately, and I ate about 2 pounds of dust yesterday on a mower. So dying over here. I was bush hogging. Getting ready for deer season on Friday, and man, I'm telling you, eating dust. So, all right, let's get into the show, though. This is going to be an exciting review. This scope is going to be the AGM Rattler TS35-640. Now, a lot of times people hear these model names and numbers, and they're long, and they're going, I don't even know what all this means. Sometimes they don't mean anything, but with AGMs, they do mean something. So I want to just explain it, and it will help you remember it when you're looking at this scope later. So AGM is the brand. Rattler is the model. TS stands for thermal scope. So when you look at an AGM monocular, it'll be a TM, thermal monocular. So now you know TS 35. This is a 35 millimeter objective lens unit, and 640 is the resolution. So AGM Rattler TS35-640. This scope, I've got it right here. I'm going to be holding it up, and I'll be talking about it. Hans will be talking about it here in a second, and I'll do some, walk around here holding it while he's doing that. But this scope is something new to the thermal industry, something we've never reviewed exactly like this before, and I'm going to tell you why. This is a 640 high-resolution thermal scope, beautiful image quality, focusable objective lens, all that stuff, and the price is $3,999. So this crazy. Is basically a $4,000 thermal 640 high resolution. We haven't seen one like this before. So you're exactly right, and that's what this is. That's why I said it's a great day in the thermal night vision world, because this is what people have been waiting for, and to them, this is the prices coming down, but prices aren't necessarily coming down. There's a lot more options and features that are coming out. But for AGM to come out with this, I have talked to people, and before we jump right into it, if you are interested in night vision and thermal optics, give me or Jason a call, because I've been talking to people all day long about this today. But 877-350-1818, outdoorlegacygear.com. Guys have been calling me that are thinking about we've had multiple conversations that were either talking about other scopes that were 384 resolutions, or even had orders on hold or waiting for their 384 resolution scope to come in, that have called me and said, Hans, why would I not just pay a few $100 more, or $400 or $500 more, and get a 640 resolution scope? And I'm like, well, I can't argue with you on that. There's no legitimate argument with that. So this is a great day for our industry, for the consumer. I mean, no doubt this has brought in, and this I think will usher in more manufacturers to do this as well. So I'll let you get into talk about some of the stuff that they're coming out with. But yeah, it's a great day.
It is, and I'm not going to go off too deep. I don't want to get off into the specs of this, and Hans is going to go over some of that. But I do want to say that this model is their $39.99 unit. It is a 2-power base magnification. They have another unit that will be here very soon, most likely within a few days of us publishing this podcast, which is mid-October of 2021. There will be the secondary model to this, which is going to be the AGM Rattler TS35-640. It's going to be a 2.5 power model, be just like this, 50 millimeter lens, and it's going to be $44.99 or $95, basically $4,500.
Right.
And so Hans and I have had both of these units. We've been using them. We're actually able to see these 640 units back a couple months ago when they just first got the unit into the U.S. We had the chance to take a quick look at it and see what we think, and I got out in the field with it. So we have had these. We've been playing with them, and if you're familiar with the AGM Rattlers, which a lot of people are because they've had their 384 by 288 resolution units out all year. They've been super popular. And if you're familiar with that, then this is going to be an easy review for you. You know what it is. It is just an upgraded unit from those. So anyway, AGM is moving. They're shaking. They're committed to, bringing in better optics, better pricing, and they've done it, and we really like this unit. So I want to keep talking about it, but I know that Hans has a list of things he's going to go over.
I do.
So I'm going to let him do that and start talking about it. And while he's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and hold this thing up and just kind of give you a little bit of show you. And then when I tell you what I'll do, Hans, I'll let you read those. And then when you're done, I'll kind of do a little walk around of it. So you go ahead. That way it won't be confusing. I don't want people to not hear your specs. So go ahead and do those.
I know that's the most important part of this review. People want to know what they're getting here, but
that's right.
People might also see over my shoulder. I've got one mounted on a rifle. Jason drew the short straw, and he had to play the model for tonight to be able to show the scope as we run down these specs. But so I wrote them down. I've got them typed out. I checked with the boss to make sure all these were correct, and he said yes. He blessed them and said that these are legit to read. So
that means if they're wrong, you just blamed it all on me.
Exactly, the boss. The boss. Exactly.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
So the resolution, 640 by 512 resolution, 12 micron. So it is a 12 micron unit, 50 hertz refresh rate. It's got, like Jason said, a 35 millimeter objective lens, and it is focusable, so you can focus that objective lens. It starts out on 2 power and goes up to 16 power, which makes it an 8 times digital zoom. It's got 4 different color palettes, 5 different reticle types, does have picture-in-picture display. A lot of people say, hey, on the video, when y'all show picture-in-picture, it doesn't have the reticle in the video of that little picture-in-picture box. I promise you, folks, there is a reticle in that little picture-in-picture box. For some reason, it doesn't make it over to the video compression or whatever, but there definitely is a reticle in the picture-in-picture box. It does record video, but does not record audio, so no audio. As far as nuking and recalibrating the screen, they have automatic and manual mode, so it does have the automatic refresh. The field of view is 66 feet at 100 yards. That's a pretty wide field of view compared to some of the other scopes that we've talked about in the past. Runs on 2 CR123 batteries. They're saying about 4.5 hours of runtime, which is pretty accurate, and that is in 50 degrees and over temperatures. All you boys up there in Idaho, I've talked to in Minnesota, that are negative or all the time, it's going to be less than that. And I think you already know that. Those guys, they stock up on battery packs. Them boys up there, I talk to them a lot, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's nothing new. We know what we're doing." So you don't have to explain nothing to them. It is IP67 rated, and operation temperatures in -4 degrees Fahrenheit all the way up to 131 degrees Fahrenheit. Weight is a very modest 1.18 ounces. And the price
ounces,
on it
pounds,
yeah,
not ounces.
1 pound 18 ounces. 1 pound
There
18
you go.
ounces. And it
No,
is
no, hang on. You've still screwed it up.
yeah, I have.
It's
yeah.
1.18 pounds, not 1 pound 18 ounces.
Oh goodness. He's right. No, you're right. I've got it. That's the way I've got it on my list is 1.18 pounds.
I don't want people to think they're dragging around a anchor over here. 1.18 pounds, which is very modest. It is very small, very lightweight.
Very small. It's pretty much the same size as the old Rattlers. And then the price, $3,995. So sub $4,000, 640 resolution scope. And it's legit. It is a great scope.
It
All
is.
right, let's you jump into it.
I'm going to jump in here real quick. I just wanted to show this scope off and kind of show some of the features on this. There's one thing that I don't think is on Hans's list, and I hope he missed it here because then I can rub it in. But I'm sitting here touching it, feeling it, and it is the American Defense Manufacturing mount on the bottom.
That's part of the
scope.
Likes. Yeah, that's part of the like.
Okay. Yeah. Should whatever. Right? You're gonna blame me because I okayed the spec list, but no, this is an American Defense Manufacturing mount. I know there's some guys watching this going, big deal. Why are you talking about the mount? First, American Defense Manufacturing, huge friend of the Late Night Vision show and the thermal industry. They make some of the highest end quick detach, return to zero, American made, lifetime guarantee mounts out there. Did I get all that in one breath? These are great mounts. If you bought this mount separately, a lot of other companies for different thermals will have this as an optional unit, and you're normally looking at about $200. Comes pre-attached to all of the Rattlers, so we love that. Again, it is quick detach. It does return to zero if you remove it from your rifle and put it right back in the same Picatinny slot. I'm sure we'll bring something up about these mounts again later. So what you're just going to see, I'm going to do this real quick. On the back of the scope, you will see this rubber eye cup. You can take this off if you don't like it, don't want it on there. Next, you have a diopter focus. That is your eyepiece focus. So if you wear glasses or, everybody's eyesight's a little bit different, you'll just twist this right here. Next, you can see this is the battery cap door. Again, Hans already said it runs off of two CR123A batteries. This right here is a little rubber flap. You can barely see this. I'm going to try to get it open here in the video. That is the USB port. Now, that's going to serve two purposes. One, actually say three purposes. One, if you're going to plug it into your computer and pull your videos that you've recorded off, or while you've got it plugged into your computer, and you want to do a firmware update, if there's one available, you could do that again that way. And then also you can run an external USB battery pack. Now, to be very clear, you don't need anything special. Just any normal USB battery pack that you can pick up that would charge a cell phone or an iPad or something like that will run this scope. So Hans was talking about you guys up north in very, very cold temperatures. You're probably going to want to pick up a USB battery pack, and you can run these things for hours and hours and hours on a $20, $30, $40 battery pack. Next, right here, we've got the front objective lens focus. This does focus the lens. Then we've got a rigid lens cap on it. Turning this unit around, nothing on this side, just a really cool AGM logo. On the top, we've got the button layout. We'll talk about this a little bit more. This is your power button, and this works just like a remote control. You got a center button, and then up, down, left, right. Very, very simple to operate. Again, you can see, I'm going to try to hold this make it as small as I can. You can see how small this unit is. I mean, fits right here in the palm of my hand. If you wanted to take this off of your off of your rifle and use the scope as a handheld, absolutely no reason you couldn't do that. If for some reason you really wanted to, you can take off the American Defense mount off the bottom. It's got two screws holding it in. There's nothing preventing you from doing that. Some scopes you're not supposed to take the mount off of. This one you can. I'm going to bring something up real quick as I'm closing this up. I've had this mentioned. Somebody actually bought a scope from us, left this in a review, and another guy called me. If you look at the center of these screws, you will see that it's all black, and in the center, right there where the little Allen wrench goes in, it's brown right around there. And I've had a couple people say that their screws were rusted when they got them. They're not rusted. It is some sort of a coating that is black that is put on these screws. I don't know. I don't want to use some big technical term that I don't know what it means. Some sort of coating, and it's just not right there around. Or maybe it's coated and the rest of the screws not. I don't know. But it's slightly brown around there. It's not rust. It is on every single one of these. I've handled a pile of these. I even have a bag of these loose screws, and it's on every one of them. It's not rust. So if you see that, I just want you to be clear, because somebody left a review the other day that said they loved the scope, but the screw was rusted. It's not rusted. So that is it. And Hans, let's talk a little bit about what this thing will do in the field, because that's what people want to know. I mean, you've been out using it. I've been using it. Tell me what you think.
So I think that, first thing I'm going to say about this is I was really impressed with the magnification. When you raise the magnification up from 2 to 4 to 8 to 16, it really kept a lot of its structure. And I say structure, I mean clarity and crispness. But I was really impressed with how it did when you zoomed up at what you were able to do. But as far as ID ranges and looking out there, and a conservative number that we talk about quite a bit, I think that you could reasonably expect to ID an animal with this unit at 400 to 500 yards. I was looking at cows just last night that were 800 yards away, and I'm not joking with you. When I magnify the image, I could see them moving around. I could see them bobbing their heads up and down and clearly tell. I could almost make out their tails swishing back and forth. So that was at 800 yards. I'm not going to tell you that you're going to be able to ID a coyote or a deer at that far, but for a 1,500-pound cow, it was no problem at all. But I say realistically, 400 to 500 yards, that's right in line, y'all, with what we say with a lot of the other very comparable to some of the other 640 scopes that we talk about and use and review. So I think it's right there in line with a lot of the others.
Yeah, I think 400 or 500 yards IDing a hog or a coyote or a deer is going to be very doable. I mean, granted, we always, give the caveat that it takes, experience with thermal. The more experience you have using thermal and knowing what different animals look like, then the better you're going to be able to ID. Also, your conditions. How humid is it? How high is the dew point? Is it wet? Has it been raining all day? I mean, just again, general conditions. The terrain and what it's like. I mean, if you're out there in an 18-inch tall hayfield that hadn't been cut, you got a coyote standing out there and all you can see is his head sticking up. That's probably going to be hard to tell if that's a deer laying down or a coyote. But yeah, I think in what we call normal conditions, that's not perfect, but it's just what you're going to find on an average night. I think this thing, you're easily going to be able to ID that far. I don't know that you're going to want to shoot that far because it's a 2-power scope. It's not made for that. But yeah, the ID range is going to be there. You're not going to find yourself looking at a hog out there at 300-400 yards and not knowing if it's a hog and having to walk 200 yards across the field in the mud to see if it's a hog. You're going to know with some experience of what a hog looks like. You're going to know exactly what it is.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And like we always talk about, the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. Another thing we talk about, and people I struggle with thermal, is depth perception, and knowing distance. And this has nothing to do with this scope, but thermal in general. It really just depends on how often you hunt on a property. If you've seen it during the day, you can reference it. But I just want to let everybody know that is a problem with really all thermals and all thermal hunters, even the experienced ones. Still have that issue where they go out for the first time to a property. They've only seen it at night and they think a armadillo is a hog. They think the hog's at 200 yards, but it's actually an armadillo at 30, and I know it's hard to believe it. Yeah. If you've never thermal hunted, it's hard to understand that, but your mind can really play tricks on you. But it doesn't matter how long you've been thermal hunting. Some people just get a little bit better at it, but I just want to let people out there know, because it is something. These ID ranges obviously are completely different, and the way that it's measured is purely just on Jason and I's experience using this optic and mini optics from a long time back and a long time that we've been using them.
And we try to be very realistic and very conservative. I mean, there's going to be somebody pick this thing up, and they're going to go out there and say, my goodness, I could tell a coyote from a hog at, 600 yards, and y'all said 4 to 5. And there's going to be a guy that picks his up, and he goes out there and says, man, I was looking at a deer at 300 and thought it was a coyote. Y'all, I mean, it's, we're giving you a range. So it's, but we believe it's conservative and again, realistic. The Rattlers, we've already brought this up. They're great scopes, the ones that have already been out there, the 384 standard resolution scopes. These are just the same scope. You will notice, if you are familiar with the Rattlers, the previous models, I'm holding this up, the buttons are just a little bit different. I mean, it's the exact same thing. I mean, the power button and these other 5 buttons, but they are it's just like a new little rubber layout there, but it's the same thing. The menu system is very simple to get into. Again, I hate to keep saying this, but there's so many guys that have bought Rattlers. I know they're going to be wanting to upgrade some of them. Same type of menu system. So it really is for $39.95 or $39.99, whatever, $4,000. It's a pretty darn impressive little unit. I mean, we have not seen, like we said, a 640 in this price range. And I didn't know what to expect when I first got it. I mean, I was like, I hope this is okay. This seems really affordable for 640, but man, it's really nice. I think it competes very well in this category. And, I just can't say enough good about it because of the size and the weight. I think that with the 2-power base mag on this unit, I really think that, hog hunters are who this is aimed for. Now, if you're a predator hunter or a coyote hunter and you're hunting in areas that, you're not going to be shooting 200 or 300 yards, 400 yards all the time, then, this unit, you can make it work. I want to be very clear. This unit, if you're capable of judging the distance and making the shot, shooting 250 or 300 yards is absolutely possible because it is a high resolution 640. As Hans already said, you zoom up and it holds its image quality well because it's that 12 micron. And, you can reach out there and shoot those distances if you need to. I don't think that's what this scope is necessarily designed for. I think it's designed for the guy who's doing a lot of shooting, under 100, 125 yards, but still, and he wants that beautiful image quality when he's doing it, but you zoom up to 4 power. So you just double that magnification. You've still got a 320 resolution, and it's still very good. Still, a clean image, ideable. So now taking those, 100 to 200 yard shots is no problem. And if you need to zoom up again that next time to 8 power, obviously now you're losing image quality, but you could definitely, if you need to, reach out there for sure over that 250. So I don't want to scare away the coyote hunters from this optic, but I do think, in my opinion, it's really for a hog hunter or predator coyote hunter that's just doing a lot of shooting under 200 yards.
Oh yeah, because
you don't want to.
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead.
Well, let's face it. Every coyote hunter's goal is to get the coyote right in their face. It doesn't always work out that way, but that's always the goal. But I want to say this too, as we're talking about, kind of our thoughts on the scope. This is, when you look through this scope, you will know that this is a 640 resolution scope. Yep. It does have the clarity. It has, the crispness, the structure, all of it. If you own a Rattler, thermal scope that's a 384 resolution, keep that one as a buddy scope and get this one as your main scope. But I will say this, this scope, as great as it is and as revolutionary, because it's bringing 640 to another type of buyer, this is not going to run Envision, Trijicon, or Pulsar's 640 out of the market. I will assure you that it's a great scope, but it's not running those companies out of the market in their 640 scopes.
Yeah, and I want to say this on that point, maybe to clarify. 100% agree. I also would say that you could still run this scope though with those and not be like, I got to throw this in the trash. It's not like this is some totally different level.
No.
You know, I mean, it is definitely holding its own in the 640 category. But Hans is right. This is not a $9,500 Envision replacement. I mean, we got to be clear there. But I'll tell you this: there are
and it wasn't meant to be. Yeah, and it wasn't meant to be by AGM.
But
you know, they brought it to bring it. Sorry.
That's right. That's exactly right. This scope is going to compete though, and I'll tell you this: it is going to hold its own against the scopes that are in this new 4000 45. There's some other scopes coming in, some more 640s that are going to be here that are going to be under 5 but above 45 in that $4,600 range. That's going to hold its own against those. It's going to hold its own really against anything in that $5,000 to $6,000 range. Is it going to be 100% as good as or better than? No. But it's going to hold its own. It's going to come in bringing a fight to those scopes. So it's a heck of a value. And I am thoroughly impressed with this image quality. I'll say this. I got to think about this for a second. I want to think about timing. I want to think about timing here. 1 year, 18 months. I would say, I'm going to give a date here, and I don't want to be wrong. That's what I'm trying to think about. I'm going to say 18 months ago. 18 months ago, I don't think that there was a 640 thermal scope on the market under $7,500 that had better image quality than this. I would say that. I think that this scope would have held its own. But you got to think, man, the market has changed a lot in the last year with 640s. There's a lot of new scopes. This scope would, in my opinion, probably go toe-to-toe with anything that I can think of, a year and a half ago and been absolutely just as good. So, yeah, it's exciting. A lot of guys really like these scopes. I know I've already mentioned this, but I'll say it again, though, just for the size. I mean, it's just the fact that being able to use this as a handheld, if, it's not on your rifle, if you're going deer hunting or, like I said, whatever, maybe you got another scope, you just want to be able to take it off and use it as a monocular. You can do it with this, and the image quality is going to be fantastic. And it's great as a monocular because it's a wide field of view. Yeah. Now, one thing Hans and I will say, this is our caveat. I understand not everybody can afford it, but I believe if at all possible, you need to have a handheld and a thermal scope. I don't like trying to take your scope off your rifle and put it back on in the heat of the moment when you see an animal. I know there's guys that do it. There's guys that have done it for a long time, but I also get phone calls every single week from guys who say, I bought a scope. I intended to use it for both. I get out there in the field, I see a hog, I see a coyote, I try to get it back on the rifle, and the adrenaline is running. It's hard to do. Then I can't find them. It's not ideal. If you're going to spend $4,000 on a thermal scope, I would say, I would try to have a budget for a handheld in there, or even if you got to buy a less expensive scope. So even though I think it works well for that, I don't think this needs to be your only optic that you're trying to take off and on all the time, if at all possible.
And the money you're saving with the, being a sub $4,000 640 scope, you can chip in a little bit more and get you a decent monocular. I know AGM makes they make those type hands, and those are very popular monoculars.
And Fusions coming. They're going to be here in another month and a half. So, well, I want to do this. So we've talked a whole lot, just overview of what we like about it. I want to get to the nitty gritty here before we kind of wrap this. And I want to mention a few things that we would change if we could. We like to do this. If you gave me the magic wand and I get to pick this apart, I want to tell you a couple quick things that I would probably like to see. Number one, it's not that big of a deal, but I know I do hear it from customers a lot, is they want audio with, I mean, if a lot of guys are like, hey, I don't care, but some guys are like, man, if I'm getting a 640, I'd like to have audio. So it would be nice to have audio with it. Hans and I are used to running a lot of scopes over the years that don't have audio. It's actually less common to have audio than, most people think everything's got it's actually not as common as most people think. We're used to recording the audio separately with our phone and then syncing it up, in video editing. I know not everybody's going to do that, but I'd like to have that. I would like to have a little more control of the image. When I get into the menu, you can change the brightness, you can change the contrast. Each one of those steps is a big step, in my opinion. You go like 1 through 4 or 5, whatever. And I just feel like it's like every step is pretty big.
Yeah, and I know what you mean,
so
because it's like,
I
think there's like 5 steps, and it's like one is on the brightness. One step is like too dim, but the next jump up is like kind of a little bit too bright, so you almost want a little in between.
A step, yeah,
it's a big step, but not huge.
It is.
Deal.
I mean, no, it's not a big deal, but that's. I mean, I'm trying to nitpick here. What I don't like. I mean, I think, I can't think of anything else. I mean, you got any other complaints?
No, I mean, just on the side end process, something really quick, and this is way into how the sausage is made, but when you go to side it in, I will say this: I got it sided in very quick and easy. The last 2 shots that I took when I sided in were touching each other at 50 yards, so I was super pumped about that. But I will say that whenever you go, and if you haven't never used a thermal scope before or sighted one in, this will probably mean nothing to you. But whenever I went to move the reticle over to my point of impact, I couldn't magnify the image. So what I would have to do is magnify the image, because when I take a shot to sight in, I always do full max magnification on there. So I took a shot fully magnified at 16 power, took a shot. But then to go into the menu to move the reticle to the point of impact, it doesn't allow you to use any magnification. So it's kind of more of a little bit more methodical step to get that fine-tuned sight in. Like I said, not a huge deal. It didn't overall affect my sight in process, because it still ended perfectly. But just something you're going to have to get used to. Like I said, not a huge deal. Really,
it's not the only scope that way either.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there's others too that we've talked about and reviewed that do the same things. Seems to be kind of common. Other than that, dislikes. I really, I guess it could have more reticle choices and more reticle color palettes, but since I really don't use that many color palettes, I really don't care. I use 2 color palettes, so it's not a huge deal to me, but maybe some more reticle choices. There's not a ton, but other than that, it's about all the dislikes.
I agree. I think that the positives are huge. The negatives are minor. I mean, we always try to find what the negatives are, or what we would like to see improved, because so far nobody's made the perfect thermal scope. When they do, we'll probably be done and never have to review another scope. But no, there's always room for improvement. But I think, the big things that I like, I like this button layout. I can't say enough good about that. It's very intuitive. I always say it's just like a remote control. I mean, this is your center select, and then up, down, left, right. It's very, very logical. Separate power button. I like that. This is a big thing on the Rattlers. Never seen a thermal scope like this before the AGM Rattlers, and that is this battery compartment door that holds the 2 CR123As. I'm going to open this. I will not probably get it easily closed back on here, and here's why. And that's the best part.
That's good. That's a good. Yeah, it's a good thing.
It is hinged. Yeah. So normally most of these battery doors are connected with a little string, and you just mash down and it locks the batteries. Well, this is awesome. You don't have to worry about that door, popping out or anything. So it's hinged. So what you've got, I'm trying to show this, is you've got leverage, and you've got to this is not showing up well.
Well, and
you got to hold this thing down.
Yeah, that battery door, when you use the leverage to get those batteries in and put that door down, you tighten that screw down, and those batteries aren't going anywhere. And you say, well, why is that a big deal? When you shoot, there's a lot of recoil and force put on that scope. You don't want those batteries shift in at all, because it could turn your battery. It could make your scope shut off. Yeah, it's a big deal.
And I don't know if you just saw it. I mean, I know the video is really hard for this, but it's got a thumb screw. So you basically, really press down, start tightening down that thumb screw. I know you can't see it. But anyway, I love the battery door. It seems like a minor detail. We've been using scopes with CR1238 batteries for years. And sometimes the battery compartment doors will pop open, or you think you've got them closed good and you don't. That's a brilliant design. And, we've already mentioned American Defense mount on the bottom. That's a big deal. It's an added value is what it is. Focusable objective lens, small housing. I mean, there's just way more to like.
The likes are definitely, for me, are going to be the picture quality, the price point, $39.95, unbelievable. Feel like we've kind of accomplished something, and you and I did nothing at all except showing people a sub $4,000 thermal scope. But no, the size. Oh, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say two things.
It's something brilliant to say.
No, it's brilliant. I promise you, it's going to change the world. No, I did want to bring this up, and I didn't mean to interrupt you. But I don't even know if you said it here in the specs. I don't know. It does have a 3-year standard warranty, and that warranty is basically a bumper-to-bumper warranty. Anything goes wrong with the scope that you didn't intentionally cause, or say intentionally, accidentally, can't run over it with your truck, obviously. It's a normal warranty. Something goes wrong in the process of you using it, they will warranty it. And AGM has good customer service, okay? They've taken care of all of our customers that had any kind of issue, very attentive to that. And we've been really impressed with their customer service over the last year. So I would definitely say good people to deal with, and again, 3-year warranty. So I'm
3-year warranty. 3-year warranty. Good company, like you said. This is not. This is not a small company with a couple of guys in a back room that are pumping out scopes and answering a phone. This is a well-oiled machine company that has been doing this for a long time. The name might sound new to you, but these folks over there know what they're doing. They've been doing it for a long time. So again, recapping the likes, price is going to be it. The quality, the picture image, and the size for me is always going to be that. So. If you are interested in purchasing the AGM Rattler TS35-640, this is the 2-power unit, you can do so at OutdoorLegacyGear.com. You can find it on, or you can call me or Jason and talk about this scope if you're interested in buying. 877-350-1818. People have been taking me up on that invitation to call and talk to me about these scopes or any other scope, and I love it. I love talking about them and love talking to all you folks out there that listen to the show. If you want to find more information about the Late Night Vision Show, you can do so on the latenightvision.show.com. You can find all of our past episodes, all 179 of them, on our website. You can find us on YouTube at the Late Night Vision Show, on Instagram, on Facebook, all at the Late Night Vision Show. If you so happen to be on one of those sites and you're on Facebook or on Instagram, give us or post some likes. If you're on iTunes, give us a 5 gold stars or whatever it is, and subscribe on YouTube. We'd really appreciate it. I don't know what it is. Who knows? I have no clue.
I love it. No clue.
Exactly. For Outdoor Legacy, you can always find us OutdoorLegacyGear.com. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube as well. And me, you can find me on Instagram, not on Facebook. Too much stuff that I don't have time for going on over there. It seems like from what Jason says, lots of arguments about a range of different topics. But I just hang out where the pictures are. That's on Instagram, yeah, and on YouTube. So Hans ETX on YouTube. I've got a bunch of reviews, bunch of hunting videos. About to pump out another review video this week, and please give me a sub over there as well.
All right, folks, listen, we've got more reviews coming. I already know of multiple optics that we're getting ready to review. A bunch of stuff, and I'm trying to figure out how we're going to work it all in. We've also got
Yeah.
some interviews planned.
Right.
I'm going to tell you something else too. There's going to be some breaking news coming on this show, so don't just always expect Thursdays to be the only day. We expect some more breaking news, possibly very, very soon. And so anyway, stick around to this show. You can always, again, find us on the podcast app or YouTube by searching the Late Night Vision Show, and you will find us there. Can't wait to do the review of the AGM Rattler TS35-640. Hans and I are already using that optic as well. That will be a separate review we hope to do in the coming weeks. But again, like Hans said, if you got questions about any of these scopes between now and before we review them, definitely go ahead and give us a call. We will be glad to help you and answer any questions that we can. And if you're ready to purchase one, we would love to have your business. We hope to see y'all again next week. So between now and then, y'all stay safe in the fields and keep making those bacon pancakes.